What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. You know, it seems like it doesn't matter what the Clippers do. The disrespect is there, and the lack of notoriety and the lack of, how they've, played this season when their feet was in the mud and they found a way out of it. Nobody seems to talk about. Only because everybody keeps talking about the Lakers. And now you're hearing reports that, Anthony Davis will be back in April. And now that they're getting him back, they're going to be a better team and they're going to run through. They're going to possibly run through the play-in tournament. And on top of that, they're just going to automatically just be this good team. And I just hate when I see things or hear things like this about a team who's played piss poor the whole season. And then all of a sudden, they're just going to turn things around and be this great team all of a sudden. It doesn't work that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Lakers have a really good team on paper. They do. And if they found a way to gel, they would be a pretty good threat to anybody. Don't get me wrong, because they still got three top superstars in the league and three superstars on their team that's top 75 players of all time. So you can't deny that. But at the same time, I just say pump the brakes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Pause for a second. This team is they have a lot of great names on paper, but they haven't been able to fulfill that on the floor. While this other team in the Clippers, who has been playing hard-nosed basketball throughout this season with and without their star players, and they found a way to, solidify a play-in tournament spot at the least, when most people thought they would probably end up exactly where the Lakers are right now. As we speak, the Lakers are one game out of the play-in tournament. They're in the 10th seed. So I mean, they're waning, while the Clippers, have excelled more than what most people thought, or anybody probably thought they could. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like the disrespect and, all that goes towards the Clippers is just unjust and unwarranted. But at the same time, it's just reality. It's just the way it is, But I still feel like it's not right, because it doesn't matter what the Clippers do as a team. It's just not being respected. And nobody looks at the Clippers what they could do this year. I mean, think about it. If they get one of their superstars back, they're going to be a really, really tough out, because even if they have Kawhi or PG out there with these role players they have, they're going to be even better than what they were with just the role players. I mean, the last couple months, whoever's played the Clippers in the last couple months have definitely felt them, definitely realized this team is no pushover. This team is no welcome mat. This team is not going to lay down for anybody. And this team really thinks they can beat you, whether they have their superstar players or not. And they've proven that they could be down 25, 35 points and still come back and beat you. So nobody's really giving them credit for that. And, Clippers Nation is definitely, they definitely oblige it. They definitely embrace that, because they're used to it. And, in regards to, just not getting the credibility or the credit that their team deserves, even when they're playing good, it's really sad to see. But at the same time, as I said before, it's reality. It's just the way the world works. 99% of the people seem like, or in the media especially, 99% of them seem like, they're just Lakers fans, and that's just the way they see it. And a lot of people are just not big or used to change, and that's exactly the point here. Nobody wants to see change. Nobody wants to see a difference. Everybody wants things to be the same always. And, if you look at the Lakers this year, they're just not a good team. And I know getting Anthony Davis back in early April, which is the projected time that a lot of people are speaking for him to come back, as I said in my yesterday's video, it doesn't necessarily mean he's the end all be all. To me, it doesn't mean he's going to automatically help them win a championship, because, did people forget? Anthony Davis played earlier this season. All three of the superstars played earlier this season. They were losing to teams like OKC, and they were losing the teams they're supposed to beat. And matter of fact, a lot of them games, I can remember they was up by 10, 20, 20 plus points and fell and lost those games with all three superstar players on the floor. So I don't understand how everybody think Anthony Davis is just going to be the answer to all their problems when they're a horrific defensive team and they just can't stop anybody from doing anything on the offensive end, which makes them, not be able to pull out wins when they need to. And on top of that, LeBron James isn't the closer that he once was, or he isn't the guy who can carry a team, I should say, as he once could. And Anthony Davis, he's a superstar. He's a star player. Don't get me wrong. He's a superstar player and all that, but I don't look at him as a superstar player that can help you win championships. I just don't see that in him. So with that being said, the Lakers are just they're just overrating them just because Anthony Davis is coming back, and they've been playing a little bit better lately, which really isn't saying much because they're still like 10 games under 500 and they're currently in the 10th seed, which is out of the play-in tournament. So, it's just all talk about one team and not really talking about the team that's actually making things work. And the fact that the Clippers beat the Lakers 4 times this season, it's a possible chance they might face them again in the play-in tournament if the Lakers make the play-in tournament. So, 5 times in one season beating somebody would be tough, but I think the Clippers could do it, especially if they had one of their superstars along with Norman Powell coming back. And that's what the Clippers got to look forward to, just getting healthy. But like I said, even if they have one of their star players, I still think they can at least make it to the second or third round in the playoffs. If they got one of their star players, at least, I believe they can do that, So it's going to be tough for the Clippers, but at the same time, the Clippers are definitely used to it. They're definitely used to getting it, out of the trenches on the grind. And I think they'll definitely be fine in their journey in doing so. But it's just unreal to me how, like I said, it doesn't matter what this team does, they still not going to get the credit. But I feel like, at this point, even if they make the NBA finals, everybody's just going to automatically pick the opposite team, the team opposite of them to win it, even if they did make an NBA finals, just because they don't want to see the Clippers win, And I think that's just very dumb for everybody or a lot of people to look at it that way when, you can give a team credit for playing the way they have. And they played very good, for what they have on the floor, Now they lost 5 of their last 6. They haven't been playing, too good here down the stretch, but they've played good enough to put themselves, like I said, in the play-in tournament. It's a guarantee they're going to be in the play-in tournament, I believe, So that's good enough for them. That's actually, an accomplishment for a bunch of role players that a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people don't know, Jay Scrubb and Amir Coffey and players like that. And they utilize those players to their advantage and got those players, to understand, situational basketball and, played it the best that they can play. And you got to understand the Clippers are a very young team. Besides Kawhi and PG and maybe Marcus Morris and Nicholas Batum, for the most part, a lot of their players are young. Amir Coffey, as I said, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Jay Scrubb, name them. They got a lot. Isaiah Hartenstein, Zubac is not, too old himself, but I'm just saying they're predominantly a young team and they're still, Ty Lue is still having to find ways to help this team develop and get them where they need to be and, try to win at the same time without 2 of their superstars. And it's been overly impressive what they've done this season. And I just feel like, more and more they continue to talk about the Lakers as if they're the team that's overcoming adversity or like they're the team that's not having none of their superstars on the floor and they're still finding ways to win and by scrapping and clawing and being resilient and having the fighter's mentality of the next man up. I feel like the media makes the Lakers seem like they're doing all these things when it's the Clippers that's really actually doing the work, and the Lakers are just taking the credit for something they're not even doing, and I just think that's very unfair, to the Clippers. And when you look at like shows like Undisputed, with Skip and Shannon, the only team they talk about is the Lakers. And I know Skip personally, he would like to talk about the Clippers more probably since, he pulls for them. But still, the only thing you hear about is the Lakers. Even if you look at, First Take or whatever, the Lakers are almost the laughing stock of the NBA and they still get talked about. And they're still getting talked about almost as if they're actually winning rather than losing. I must be, I must not be seeing the game from the right perspective, because I always thought the teams that are winning should get the credit. I mean, to me, it's almost like you look at the MVP race. Now, a lot of people talk about the MVP candidates is going to be Joel Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. Nobody even mentioned Devin Booker. And Devin Booker is playing just as good as those guys, and his team has a better record. His team is number one overall in the NBA. They got 60 wins now, I believe. So, it's like nobody even mentioned him in the MVP race when he's been putting up great numbers without Chris Paul. I think they're like 8-2 or like 11-4 or something like that without Chris Paul. So, I mean, it's like when you think about it, it's always a player or a team that's getting overlooked by other players or other teams who are probably not even playing as good, just because they want those guys to be in the MVP, or just because they want that team to win. And that's the way it is with this Clippers-Lakers situation. They want the Lakers to win so bad. Even when the Lakers are losing, they still portray them as a winning team, because they talk about them and highlight them so much, as in like they're the best team in the NBA, and they're actually the worst team in the NBA. And it's really mind-boggling that it goes that way, but that's the way it is. And, as far as Clippers Nation, definitely keep embracing it. Definitely keep use as motivation, because as I said, if the Clippers got one of their superstars, they could beat the Lakers in the play-in tournament if they had to play them again. If they got both of their superstars, I believe they beat the Lakers regardless of who the Lakers have on the floor, because I just think the Clippers have overall better depth as a team. And what the Clippers have over every other team, their role players have gotten starter minutes. Their role players have became starters at some point during this season. And with that being said, that means they got more experience, more chemistry than a lot of other teams, because their young guys on the Clippers have played minutes this season where most young guys or a lot of players on other teams don't even step on the floor. Everybody on the Clippers roster, I believe, has played some games this season, or has started at some point, or whatever the case may be. They've logged in a lot of minutes. They've logged in enough minutes to get some continuity there, and which helped them play the way they played, for a good stretch, the way they did, with the comebacks and, the winning that they were on a 5-6 game winning streak, all that stuff. It's helped them play better, as a unit, which, like I said, that bodes well for them, because when those guys are asked to step into the playoffs, even though the playoffs will be a different atmosphere, or the play-in, they're going to be more comfortable doing it, because they've been playing that role all season. There's a lot of other players on other teams that don't even get an opportunity to play, because the superstar players take up that time where they don't get time to play. Unfortunately / fortunately for the Clippers, their superstars have been hurt, so everybody else got a chance to play, got a feel, understanding basketball. Ty Lue trained them how he wants them to be, molding them the way he wants them to be, so when their star players come back, all they have to do is play more freely then, because now they can play their natural position with confidence, rather than play out of position because they got to make up for Kawhi and PG as much as they could. They don't even have to do that. Now they can play with more comfortability in their right position, and they'll probably thrive more because of the experience they've gotten without their superstars on the floor. So if Kawhi and PG comes back, it's going to be really tough to beat the Clippers. And like I said, they're talking about the Lakers still every day while the Lakers are losing, while they're looking horrible, talking about LeBron James records and all the individual accomplishments he can get, all-time leading scorer. He's about to break that soon and all these things. But why are you talking about all them things when they're losing? I thought the point of playing basketball is to win, having championships. It's not about individual. It's a team sport last time I checked. So if that's the case, why are we talking about LeBron's accomplishments while you're like the worst team in the league? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know any player, in the NBA right now that would be getting this type praise if their team was losing. Now, granted, it is LeBron James. I give you that. I understand that. But even he has to, take the rap for what's going on. If the Lakers are losing, it doesn't matter. When you wear the purple and gold, they've always won championships throughout their tenure. So why does any Lakers fan care about his individual accomplishments if you're possibly not even going to make the play-in tournament? And it's possible that they might not even make the play-in tournament, which would be embarrassing, because There's years ago, there was no such thing as a play-in tournament. Either you made the playoffs or nothing. There was no second opportunity to make the play-in tournament, and then if you get past that, you can make the playoffs. Now it's more of an opportunity to make the playoffs, which is the reason why Adam Silver made that possible, because some teams in the lower seeds that's been playing piss poor the whole season, just give them an opportunity to, be basically a wild card team, almost like in football. You're a wild card team, and if you can get in, be a wild card, knock off somebody, and possibly make a run all the way to the Super Bowl the way the Giants did one time with Eli Manning. That's basically what this play-in tournament thing kind of reminds me of. So, with that being said, I understand, LeBron's accomplishments and everything like that, but if they're not winning, they shouldn't be talked about as a team collectively as much when there's the team down the hallway is winning by committee, not even having their superstars, and nobody's even paying attention to that. This is why I said it doesn't matter what the Clippers do. It's just not good enough for the public, and that's okay. My thing is, I want to see the Clippers get a championship to shut all haters up, all doubters up, and that's the only way that's the only way this whole situation is really going to be resolved. The Clippers got to win a championship. And this is the reason why I hope, Kawhi and PG come back this year so they can do it and get that out the way, at least win one championship, so you can say the operation wasn't a failure. But at the same time, now you could say to all the haters and all the doubters and look them in the eye and say, hey, you don't have to give us the respect. We'll take it from you. And that's exactly the mentality the Clippers need to have. And hopefully they continue to have that mentality, or hopefully they adapt that mentality if they don't or haven't already, and take it into the play-in tournament, whoever's on the floor, and go out there and dominate as much as they can, with the thought process of hoping that Kawhi and PG returns as well. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.